It's not working, is it?
I heard it.
Shoot. I can't tell if anybody heard it.
Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain, and the waving wheat can sure smell sweet when the wind comes right behind the rain. Oklahoma, every night my honey lamb and I sit alone and talk and watch a hawk making lazy circles in the sky.
I'm going to stop it because that means you guys can't hear me.
They're hearing it on the broadcast,
I understand,
but not Discord.
Yeah, I'm hearing you twice, so I need to not hear you twice. This is going to be a problem if I can hear you twice.
So go to
preferences. Talk again, Steve.
Go to preferences in Discord.
I know how to fix it, and it doesn't work. That's the problem I've been having. So I know how to fix it, but it doesn't work. So talk to me for a second. Let me make sure I hear you twice still.
Do you hear me twice now?
Yes, and nobody can hear me. Okay, so I got to go in here, and I've got to do a stupid thing. I've got to turn something on and off, and then I have to leave Discord and come back.
Okay.
Bye.
I'm going to put our video up.
Okay.
All right. We have video.
So frustrating. This is so frustrating.
So
I have to toggle something, almost anything, and then restart Discord, and then it should work.
Okay.
Okay, can you guys hear me now? Steve?
Yes.
Wait, did you say yes twice, or did I just have an echo?
I can hear you once, and I said yes once.
And I can hear you twice, but I think you guys can. Okay, so you guys can hear me on Discord now, and oh man, completely changed my settings. It did not keep the settings I just finished telling it to do. All right, let's try this one more time. I don't know what to do. I uninstalled and reinstalled it too. Okay, it should hang out on air is the input, and it should be something stupid as the output, so I can't possibly hear myself.
PNP. I use the PNP output.
I don't know what PNP is.
Oh, you don't have that option?
No, but I hear. Oh, I can only hear you once. Can you guys still hear me?
I hear you, but not in Discord. I'm not listening to
Good.
Discord.
Okay. Yeah, you guys don't hear us twice because if you were to listen to Discord and to the Google Hangout on Air at the same time, you would hear us twice, and that's what I'm hearing. So, but they're delayed, so it's really hard to talk. So I'm going to play this one more time, at least the intro.
Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain, and the waving wheat can sure smell sweet when the wind comes right behind the rain. Oklahoma, every night my honey lamb and I sit alone and talk and watch a hawk making lazy circles in the sky. We know we belong to the land, and the land we belong to is grand. And when we say, yo, aye-yi-bi-yo-wee, hey, we're only saying you're doing fine, Oklahoma, Oklahoma, okay.
Allison doing karaoke.
I wasn't doing karaoke. I was lip syncing. Totally different.
Oh, you weren't singing at all. You blended. I thought you were blending in so well. I just couldn't tell.
How'd I do, Shy? Did I look pretty good? Actually, I wonder on the site whether it's been any kind of delay on that. Okay.
Now, since that's on YouTube, you might get a takedown.
Well, I was going to ask Shy, you know, who owns that?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll check that video.
We'll find
later.
out. Yeah. I need to do one thing in email, believe it or not.
Don't you get 30 seconds worth, though? YouTube seems to
Maybe.
be more strict than that, than the 30 seconds.
So the Boinks guys, this guy Wayne asked me to send an email with a screenshot of an interesting screen I had never seen in Chrome before. If you click on the three little dots in the upper right and you go down to More Tools and then Task Manager, it shows you the memory footprint of and network traffic of each of your tabs. And we've been having trouble with how much of a hog the Boink stuff is when I do it through Chrome on my Mac, and that's what it looks like. Just that'd be interesting to see. Doesn't look that bad right now. Maybe I'll leave this open and tell me if you guys start to see a lag, and I'll take another screenshot, okay? All right. I think it is probably time for me to start recording. What do you think, Steve?
I think it is.
I should probably turn that fan off. Hang on.
Yeah.
Gotta go get uncomfortable.
Tizzy's back. Or maybe Tizzy's
Dr. Tisdale is here.
Maybe Tizzy's been
What's
in
that?
all along. I just saw Tizzy pop up in the live show listen. Hey, Tizzy, welcome. Dr. Tiz. Dr. T.
Oh, that's weird. Uh-oh. Preview of... Whoa.
Yes, it is. Jerry's here.
Oh, no, I've got a problem.
What's that?
My preview of the blog post in Mars Edit is goofed up.
Now, I was previewing at your website. Does that shouldn't cause you a
Did
problem?
you by any chance make it all centered and get rid of my cascading style sheets?
I was in preview. I'll close
Okay,
it just in case.
it's all better. No, I quit and came back. No, you're fine.
Then I should update.
Is Tizzy's first name Jim or John? I can't remember, Steve.
Not quite. I don't quite remember.
It's in the photo.
Oh,
You can look at that.
is
Let's
your
see. Is TJ there? Oh, we haven't even done roll call.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we've got Steve and Kevin and Will might be here. And let's see, Jerry Jr. and John and Rose and Richard and Rick and Sandy and Shy. Terry Vogelor is here. And Tizzy and Wheels bringing up the end with Frank Petrie.
thank you all for joining us.
Yeah. Okay. Got some notes I was going to do there. Okay, I guess I won't start until Steve is done reassembling his blinds. I wonder if he has any idea how much noise he's making.
I do.
What do you think? Talk about... Uh-oh, you can hear me?
Yeah.
That's a little bit noisy there,
better?
dear. Okay.
James.
Oh, I forgot. I can mute you. James. I was close.
James Tisdale. Yes. Thank you, James.
All right. Okie dokie. All right. Oh, boy. I haven't got my music ready. I have fooled around for 8 minutes. NosillaCast intro. Oh, no. Remember, I can't put the intro in ahead of time. Remember, we discovered that
Yes,
last week.
You were doubling up.
All right, here goes. We're going to record without it.
I'm muting.
Okay, that's a good idea. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, August 5th, 2018, and this is show number 691. We've got a fun-filled, pretty geeky show today that I really enjoyed researching in order to be able to bring it to you. This week's Chit Chat Across the Pond Light is an interview with good friend Tom Merritt of the Daily Tech News Show. This week, okay, I guess I didn't finish writing those show notes. But they'll give me a chance to bring in my introduction here and see how it sounds. Yeah, I gotta fix that. Interview with good friend Tom Merritt of the Daily Tech News Show. There we go. Preview. All right. Give me a second here. Oh, he's showing all my editing. Ah.
I can remove your editing shot.
No, that's fine. I was
All
thinking, boy, this would be more interesting with editing, and then I realized why you disappeared.
There you go.
Oh. There we go. Ah, come on. Sorry, that was kind of loud. My own speakers are not coming through my headphones. See, this is the kind of stuff that drives me crazy. Why does every single app have to have its own preferences for audio? I have to set preferences in 4 different applications for the playback.
Well,
the input.
You might want different preferences for different apps. Some apps might be hotter, colder, sounds weird, so you got to adjust.
No, why would I want?
No, it happens.
No. It's not that I can change how loud they are. It's that they're coming out of the wrong speakers.
Again,
it's hot in here.
You might.
I don't. I had news for
you have no use case.
Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, August 5th, 2018, and this is show number 691. We've got a... See, I didn't do the nice pause like I usually do. I don't like that as much.
Because you couldn't tell late. When it finished.
Because I normally go 691, you know.
91.
Okay. Muting Steve. This week's Chit Chat Across the Pond is an interview with good friend of the show and good friend of mine, Tom Merritt of the Daily Tech News Show. He's also co-host of Cord Killer, Sword and Laser, and Current Geek. Anyway, he joined us to talk about the importance of community to his podcasting experience. We explore how he created such a thriving and participative community, what it means to him, and what would podcasting be like if he didn't have a community? And we even talked about the downsides of having a community. It's probably one of my favorite discussions I've ever had with Tom, and I always love talking to Tom. I hope you'll give it a listen in your podcatcher of choice under Chit Chat Across the Pond or Chit Chat Across the Pond Lite, or you can always go listen over at podfeet.com. This week, I got to be on the awesome podcast Clockwise again with, I think this was my 14th time, with Dan Morin and Micah Sargent, along with John Maltz. We talked about our file organization strategies, or lack thereof. That would be the other people, not me. We talked about whether it was time to dive into 3D printing. We talked about tech accessories that impress us and our backup batteries. You're going to learn a lot about backup batteries in this podcast today. Anyway, we also talked about embarrassing podcast stories. You can find it in your podcatcher as episode number 252, entitled I'm Not Alone in My Monsterdom, or follow the link in the show notes to relay.fm. Our final public service announcement is I wanted to tell you that my video tutorial about the free vector design program for iPad and iPhone, Vectornator Pro, is now up over at Screencast Online. You might remember back in May, I did a blog post about Vectornator Pro, and I talked about it in the podcast, telling you how incredibly cool it was. In any case, I posted the teaser video over on podfeet.com so you could see the intro to see if it's something you'd like. Remember, you can get a free trial of Screencast Online without giving a credit card and see the entire back catalog over at Screencast Online. There we go. And I need to do an edit there. Vectornator Pro. I just realized it looks like a free trial of Vectornator Pro. There
Which was not the intention.
No. Okay, I'm going to do a chapter mark.
Good idea.
How about that?
Should you have several of them in there?
I might. Not yet. Just one. Did Kevin tell me to, though? I don't want to do it ahead of time.
He did. Like clockwork. Whoa.
This was so complicated and so much work, but I loved what I learned. So buckle up. Get your propeller beanies on. All right. Let me find that blog post. Hey, my light just turned off, Steve.
Which light?
My light right here. Would you by any chance want to come plug a battery in for me? Thank you, sweetie. This is so cool that this has rechargeable batteries now. We used to do the little AA batteries and found out for like, I don't know, $40 we could do it by this kind of battery. So it's much, much easier. All right. Yeah, Don's out and about again. You know, one of the reasons he hired me and some of the other guys was so he could do all these vacations. So apparently we were doing a good job. Let's see. So I want this one. You might want to bring it down and take it into the other room because it's kind of a bear to get it loose. It does come loose eventually, but it's not as easy as I'd hoped. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm going to mute Steve. No, apparently you're not going to start. A little bit off of that. I debated at length what to entitle this article as I rewrote it 4 separate times. I considered at one point entitling it, "How many engineers does it take to understand a battery?" But I settled on the title of, "Can a portable battery charge a..." The cadence is all wrong. Over at Screencast Online. Okay. I debated at length what to entitle this next article as I rewrote it 4 separate times. I considered at one point entitling it, "How many engineers does it take to understand a battery?" But I settled on, "Can a portable battery charge a large laptop?" The article started as a review of a portable battery that I expected would fully charge my 15-inch MacBook Pro. When my early test didn't give me the results I expected, it was time to start diving deep into the basic electronics to try to understand why. There's a reason that in my first year of engineering, I chose to go mechanical rather than electrical. Mechanical engineering is so much more intuitive to me than electrical. For example, grab your left forearm with your right hand. Twist your right hand. That's torque. Got it? There, you understand. That's how mechanical engineering works. You can feel it. You can touch it. You know what it is. Anyway, that's why I'm not an electrical engineer. But through conversations with the manufacturer of the battery I was testing from Jackery, and doing independent research, and talking to Steve, and our buddy Ron, who is also an electrical engineer with a degree from Caltech, I think I can answer the question of how well a portable battery should be able to charge a large laptop. Now, I've been under the assumption for quite some time that I understood portable batteries, and I understood how to figure out which ones would meet my on-the-go device charging needs. Turns out, I was mistaken. There was much more that I needed to know, and this lesson will include some equations, so, buckle up. On small battery charges for small mobile devices, you'll usually see the mAh, or milliamp hour, rating spelled out quite prominently. The smaller lipstick-sized ones, like the Anker PowerCore Plus Mini, might show something around, say, 3,000 or 4,000 milliamp hours. These small battery chargers include 1 or more USB ports for charging your devices, and the ports will also have ratings on them. You'll see things like 5 volts paired with 1 amp, 2 amp, 2.4 amps, or even higher. Now, the V is volts, A is for amps. Amps is a measure of electrical current. If you look at the charger block for your iPhone, it will say 5V1A. So a battery with that rating will work fine for your phone. That's 5 volts at 1 amp. But if you have, say, the smaller iPad, it might require 2.1 amps. The 12.9-inch iPad Pro requires 5 volts at 2.4 amps. Notice all of these values were at 5 volts. That's going to matter later in the story. As we launch up to the big batteries that claim to be able to charge laptops, you'll start to see additional specs quoted. You might see W for watts, which corresponds to the large power adapters we have for our laptops. You will also see WH, and the H is lowercase. That stands for watt hour. And that's where things get really interesting. Watt hour is going to be the measure that we will need to use to figure out if a battery has the capacity to charge our laptops. To understand why we're going to have some fun with definitions and equations. Steve, that isn't a sentence. How did you not catch that? To understand why we're going to have some fun with definitions and equations now. What did I even mean to say?
You're just
Must be
being
time
creative.
to. Sure. What do I have an editor for?
I give you the benefit of the doubt sometimes.
I think. How about just now? And then get rid of the now at the end of the sentence. That was weird. Okay, make sure I'm in charge of reposting this. Okay, I think I'll save. Yeah, this one took a lot of editing and discussion. All right, muting Steve. Now let's have some fun with definitions and equations. The equation that governs our topic is called Watt's law, and it's extremely simple. So that's one of the reasons I thought this would be simple. Watt's law says that the power in watts is equal to the voltage in volts times the current, which we measure in amps. Or just using the units, we can say watts equals volts times amps. Pretty simple, right? It's only got 3 variables. That's an easy equation. Current, in turn, which we measure in amps, is the number of electrons delivered over a period of time. So this is where it starts to get tricky. So let's say this another way. Current has a time component in the denominator. It's number of electrons over time. That means the power, since it's voltage times current, also has a time component in the denominator. Again, voltage times current, and current is electrons over time. In defining the capacity of a battery, it doesn't make sense to have time in the definition. If we're talking capacity, there shouldn't be time in it. It's like I'm selling you a bucket and I tell you it holds 3 gallons per hour. What does time have to do with the capacity of a bucket? Same thing with a battery. If we want to know the true capacity of a battery, we need to get time out of the equation, I should say. If watts has time in the denominator, we need to multiply by time to get it out. So watts times time, watt hours, right? We said watt hours was going to be important. We now know that watt hours is the best way to measure the capacity of a battery independent of any voltage requirements. It's all out of there because the watt hours is going to tell us that capacity. Now, when I first started on this journey, I thought I'd be able to charge my MacBook Pro over the USB-A ports on these large capacity batteries as long as the battery's capacity was high enough. Turns out, charging a laptop over the USB-A ports is not actually feasible. Let's talk through this with an example. The MacBook Pro has an 87-watt power adapter, and the USB port works at 5 volts. So if watts is volts times amps, then we would need 87 watts divided by 5 volts, or 17 amps in order to charge the MacBook Pro. It turns out 17 amps is a lot of current. Remember, we talked about 1 amp, 2 amps, 2.4 amps. 17 amps would be required to charge a MacBook Pro with an 87-watt power adapter. That's too much current. It's more than a household extension cord can even handle. It would get really, really hot, and it would be incredibly inefficient because it was losing so much energy as heat. Now, some of the batteries out there offer what they call quick charge. Your device has to support quick charge to take advantage of it, but the math will still come to the same conclusions. One battery I tested said that the quick charge supported up to 9 to 12 volts, but at that high voltage, the current is down to 1.5 amps. So now we know we can't use those USB outlets for charging a real laptop. I like the way that sentence came out. What was that noise? Are you making a weird noise, Steve?
I've been on mute.
I just heard like a chair was moving or something.
Is Tesla creaking?
So now we... I don't think so.
Oh, she's under here. She's good.
Okay. Man, I can't feel that fan at all. I have to get my my sandy towel pretty soon.
Is it at the beach?
The current is down. One battery I tested. One battery I tested said that the quick charge supported up to 9 to 12 volts, but its quick charge at that high voltage had the current down at 1.5 amps. So it's still not enough to support the MacBook Pro, so we know we can't charge a real laptop on a USB outlet. Now, the batteries you can now find claim to be able to charge our laptops, up to and including the big girl 15-inch Touch Bar MacBook Pro. They all have, all of these kind of batteries have AC or alternating current outlets in addition to their USB ports. In the US, these AC ports operate at 110 volts. Now, don't ask me why alternating current applies to voltage. I just don't want to go down that whole road. But an AC outlet is like the thing in the wall, you know, the power plug, you plug it into the wall. That's the kind of outlet we're talking about that comes on these newer batteries. With an AC port on a charger, that means you can plug in your power adapter that came with your laptop. Now, why would we want to do that? Batteries supply charge via their USB ports in DC or direct current. If they convert the lower DC voltage to a much higher AC voltage at 110 volts, that allows a much lower level of current to flow, just as our equation showed us, and it will still charge the computer. Remember, we need 87 watts on a 15-inch MacBook Pro. If watts is volts times amps, we'd only need 87 divided by 110 volts, or 0.79 amps to charge that laptop. That's a nice small level of current, and it will not burn itself up or lose a lot of energy due to heat. When you plug in your power adapter, ironically, it will convert the voltage back to direct current. So we go from DC to AC, back to DC. And now you know why AC/DC's first album, released in 1975 in Australia, was called High Voltage. I bet Dr. Dream already knew that. Now, we have the math and the terminology under our belts, which means we're dangerously close to being able to calculate whether a battery can charge our laptop. There's one more thing to discuss. When a battery has to convert from DC to AC, there's loss in the system. One battery manufacturer, Jackery, told me that the loss is around 20% due to the conversion and to their protections for the battery itself. Sadly, we lose another 10% or so when our power adapter for our laptop converts it back to DC. I know you're still wishing that USB port would work. You and me both. Now, I said there wasn't loss due to heat, but there probably is loss due to heat in this particular conversion we're talking about, but it's not because of the high amp problem. That's what I meant earlier. All right, to calculate how much of the battery's capacity you can actually use to charge your laptop, you have to take this loss into account. So we've got 20% loss going from DC to AC and 10% loss going from AC back to DC. Now, remember the capacity of the battery is given to us in watt hours. First, we lose the 20% due to DC to AC conversion, and then we lose the second 10% after we lose the 20% loss to the computer. So the equation becomes the capacity in watt hours times 80% times 90%, which is 72% of the capacity that they tell you. To figure out if or how much a given battery can charge up your laptop, you take 72% of the watt-hour capacity rating of the battery and divide it by your laptop battery's capacity. I've been testing two high-capacity batteries, the Jackery 77 watt-hour, 20,000 milliamp hour power bar, and the RAV Power 99.5 watt-hour, 27,000 milliamp hour model RPPB055. It doesn't matter. I've got the RAV Power and the Jackery, and I've got them in a later article in too many stumbles. Dang it. I wrote that before I'd written them. Am I missing anything? Save. This could be a while.
Not much, but you're going a little deep for some people.
I warned you.
Yes, you did.
You can't believe how much work this was between me and Steve and Ron and reading, and the Jackery guy, Ian. Ian's my new little best friend. In the next section, you'll get to see the batteries. They're hiding right here.
Ooh.
I know. I've been testing two high-capacity batteries, one from Jackery and one from RAV Power, and you're going to hear about them later in the show. I use their specs on the two batteries, along with the tech specs for the current 12-inch MacBook Pro, 13-inch MacBook Pro, and the 15-inch MacBook Pro, and I put them into a handy table on the website. I calculated how many charges you should expect to get on these three different laptops on the two different batteries. I'm not going to go through all of the statistics on it because it's a lot of numbers going by, but basically one of them can easily do a 12-inch MacBook or 13-inch MacBook Pro, and the other one can do the 15-inch MacBook Pro and below. Again, we're going to hear about that in a few minutes. Now, I want to give you a couple of caveats. The numbers I calculated for you are theoretical. I can't promise you're going to get exactly these numbers, but it should set your expectations a little closer to reality. A heck of a lot better than if you just look at that milliamp hour number. If you're going to run the math for your own laptop, make sure you look up the exact model you have. For example, the 2018 15-inch MacBook Pro has an 83.6 watt-hour battery, but my 2016 15-inch MacBook Pro, so, God, this is too many things to read out loud. It's bad enough when you're reading it, but, okay, try that again, where, for example, but my 26 has an 83 points, for example, all right. For example, the newer 2018 MacBook Pro, the 15-inch, has a significantly larger watt-hour battery than the one I have, which is the 2016. It's kind of interesting that they changed the size of the battery in that length of time. All of the calculations here assume you're not using the laptop and draining its battery while charging from the battery. That's the third caveat. After all of this research and discussion, Steve and I still have a significant unanswered question. If the laptop's power adapter can provide enough power, that is some combination of current and voltage, through USB-C to fully charge the laptop even while it's in use, why can't the battery do the same thing through USB-C? The battery has sufficient capacity to charge the laptop, so there must be another factor, I should say, such as maximum current or voltage or both, that limits the battery's ability to charge the laptop over USB-C. If anyone knows the answer to that question, we would love to hear the answer.
Woo!
Now, should I read what John wrote? Because NASANut did give us an answer to that,
Before you go
right?
on, Frank would like to like you to go through all those statistics as you just kind of pass by.
Could you please give them the chart? Oh my gosh. You guys have written 159 messages since I looked at the screen.
Yeah.
What are you people talking about?
How they don't want to hear this.
Wheels says, is Allison related to Sheldon? Oh, were they really? They don't like it?
No. It's just, no, it's not that they didn't
This was
like
so
it.
hard.
They appreciated the work you went through, I'm sure. It's just,
That makes me sad.
okay. Help me out, guys.
Now my feelings are hurt. Sad. This was really, really hard. Like, really hard.
Shy likes it.
This took me almost 2 weeks. Save before the sausage gremlins show up. I'm not speaking to you people.
Shoot, I ratted you out.
I'm going to read.
Rick liked it.
Whoa, you just broke up, and so did I.
Fine here.
No, you just broke up, and so did I.
Yeah, but that you're not transmitting to the internet. I am. Doesn't matter.
But it matters whether I. Doesn't matter what I hear.
I think I hear the last thing that before it goes out.
Okay.
So remember, you're
right.
on another link.
I am going to read what NASANut wrote. Now, after I wrote this up for the blog post, John Ormsby, also known as NASANut, wrote the following. With regards to your question to the audience, apparently the MacBook Pro 15-inch batteries are rated at 11.4 volts, and the two external battery charging devices that I referenced were both rated at 5 volts output. Therefore, assuming that the MacBook Pro does not have some sort of internal boost circuit that would take in 5 volts and boost it to over 11.4 volts, these 5-volt devices will not charge the battery through, I assume he's talking about through USB-C. If you will notice, the USB-C charger that comes with the MacBook Pro can actually produce 3 different optional outputs, 20.2 volts, 9 volts, 5.2 volts, and he's given different amperages at that. So the 20.2 volt output would be sufficient to charge the battery with the rate of charge determined by the current amps and any internal charge control circuitry. So even though the external battery chargers may have sufficient energy capacity, they are not at a sufficient voltage level to charge the MacBook Pro's battery. Well, that makes a certain amount of sense, but why not? Why did they make it like that? Why didn't they make it so that it could do it? If USB-C can hold it, why didn't they make it to do that? There.
Yes, good point.
John cares.
You have several people that care, and some people that maybe didn't follow.
All right,
it.
Tizzy loves it. Oh, Kevin appreciates the hard work. Terry says you two
Shy
broke
did.
up.
Yeah.
Oh, Shy appreciated that we looked into it. See?
Yes, he did. I think most people
Is
did.
it really just Kevin making fun of me? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's just Kevin.
Hey. I'm not speaking to the live audience about. No, I like Shy, and that's it. Well, the rest of you can pound sand. Okay. Actually, you should listen to the conversation with Tom Merritt, because I was talking in that about how I don't know if you guys if anybody remembers this, but a long time ago, there was a kid in the audience. He was like, I don't know, he was like late high school, early college, I think. And I was, you know how much I'm juggling when I'm doing this. And at the time, I was still running the whole show. I wasn't producing it the way Steve is now. And I made a mistake, and he just said, fail. And I was so angry that I stopped the recording and I yelled at him. And he left and he never came back. And I've always felt bad about that. So I won't say what I'm really thinking about you guys. Because I don't want you to pout and go away, never come back.
We know you love us.
Yeah, I love you because I have to. I'm married to you. Okay, this is gonna be real quick. I'm gonna just introduce this. I'll be right back. Let's take a break from talking about batteries. Don't worry, there's more to come, but it's a lot less nerdy, I promise. And let's have an aperitif. Today, for your pleasure, we have a recording from Nightwise of the Nightwise.com podcast. He decided to record his observations as he went to the Table of Sadness at the Apple Store in Brussels. In addition to his own thoughts, he also recorded his conversations with the folks at Apple about the dire state of his MacBook Pro with butterfly keys. All right, I'm not going to play very much of this. In fact, maybe none, because I've been goofing around so much, yelling at the audience for being mean to me, that I am just going to bring this in, and I got to make sure I get the right one.
You.
Oh, they've forgiven me? Really? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I hurt your little brains? Is that the problem?
Careful, Allison.
I didn't yell at him at all. I merely mock because I love you. Okay, here we go. All right, let's hear this sounds. State of his MacBook Pro with butterfly keys.
Hello. Bonjour. I have an appointment to bring in my Apple MacBook at 5:30. Butterfly keys. The dust heart attack.
Okay. The name is?
Hendricks.
Hendricks?
Hendriks.
So
No.
it's to pick up?
No, it's to drop off.
To drop off. Okay.
Yeah.
Even better. Really can't find you. So,
Okay, I'll give you the email that you guys sent me
please,
with the appointment.
All right, I sure hope Levelator brings that up. That's all I can hope for there.
Is that the
All
one
right.
that started in Dutch or some other language?
Yeah, actually, he didn't record it. I was mad. The guy actually started talking to him in Dutch because he overheard him talking in Dutch. I wish he had kept a little bit of that, but he didn't keep it in there. All right, now I need to record here, the ending here.
See you guys. Bye.
Well, hey, thanks for that, Nightwise. I did put a photo of you in the Brussels Apple Store. I think I need to bring this down. I don't know how to do this gracefully. Can I do it like that? Like that? I hope that works. Nope. I don't have any idea how to bring stuff down gracefully in, you know, that sounds.
15 days. Keep you posted. See you guys. Bye.
Okay. Isn't really what I meant to do. Oh, what if I move that? No, that won't do anything. No, I want that. Oh, there you go. There you go. That's what I wanted. Okay, close enough.
Keep you posted. See you guys. Bye.
Well, hey, thanks for that, Nightwise. I did put a photo of you in the Brussels App Store when you took us there along with Helma and Peter. It was such a good time. But I gotta say, it's hard to imagine that place ever being warm. We were so cold that day. And you said it was 32 degrees, which that's really cold, right? I knew what you meant. Anyway, I had to laugh when you talked about how you only have one Apple store in Belgium. Talk to Bart about it. There are 0 in Ireland. I have no sympathy for you. As long as Bart doesn't have an Apple store, nobody gets sympathy. Well, it was interesting to hear the technician explain what gets replaced when they fix a keyboard problem these days. He said the keyboard, trackpad, battery, and touch bar. Now it makes sense why that replacement is $700 when it's out of warranty. I wanted to tell the audience about some fun I had processing the audio that I got from Nightwise's visit to the Table of Sadness. There was a lot of background noise in the crowd in the Apple store. So many typos on my text, I'm having trouble reading this. Let's see. Oh, you know what that noise is? It's the blinds behind me moving over here. That window's open.
You want me to shut that?
I don't think you guys are hearing it, so it's probably fine.
I don't hear it. By the way, NASA Nut joined us.
Yes, I texted him.
Okay.
In the chat room. Yeah, thought you should have used analogies Allison would understand via about voltage. Steve and I worked a lot on that with, that's where the bucket of water analogy came from. We did talk about water and the head on potential energy in water versus, I don't know, whatever it was, voltage or something. I don't know, I forget.
And current being the flow rate of the stream.
Yeah, but current isn't right about the flow rate because you said it's the number of electrons, but the electrons are going to the left and the current's going to the right, so I don't believe in that anyway.
Just forget the positive, negative, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, square root of -1. Visit to the Table of Sadness. Stupid. Steve just muted himself. Here we go. There was a lot of background noise from the crowd in the Apple store. The good news was that Nightwise did a pretty continuous recording for the most part, and there were long stretches that I was going to edit out anyway, but it had just the room noise. That was really good because I was able to import his audio into the free and open source audio editing program, Audacity. Now, instead of any of my fancy pants paid for audio editing apps, Audacity is my go-to when it's time to remove noise. I did a tutorial on how to use Audacity to remove noise so long ago that the screenshots still have the Aqua interface, but I'm pretty sure this is my most viewed and definitely my most commented on tutorial on all of podfeet.com. I still get comments to this day about it. Anyway, I bring it up because it was so easy with this lengthy sample section of the noise to allow Audacity to learn that noise so that the audio came out really well. I hope it sounded good. I haven't heard it leveled yet. I know some of it was kind of quiet that I have, but hopefully it does work out well. I guess I'm promising this before I know how it's going to come out after being leveled by Auphonic. Anyway, you would have never believed he was in an Apple store after listening to what I heard, because at first I had to, the noise removal was so good, it sounded unnaturally quiet. So I was able to dial back the noise removal using Audacity in order to make it sound natural, but not have it be overwhelming. Now, Audacity can't solve all noise problems, so it's not magic, but when you have just the right kind of noise problem, it feels like magic. I'd like to try an experiment that I'm stealing from Adam Curry, one of the inventors of podcasting. Very early on in podcasting, on his daily Source Code podcast, he did an advertising experiment. He asked the audience to look around them and try to take a mental picture of what they saw. Right when he said the name of the product he was advertising, he said, "Look at what you're looking at right now." He wanted to see if he could imprint that product on the audience's memory such that it was triggered every time they saw that same scene. Well, I'm purposely not telling you the name of the product because 3 times a week, I run on the beach past a sign and I hear Adam saying that product name from almost a decade ago. So anyway, I want to try it right here. Whether you're driving, maybe you're like James Tisdale and you're driving a truck right now, or you're at the gym, you know, Dorothy, you're on the elliptical, maybe you're Bart and you're out cycling, or Rose, you're tipping a Chardonnay, maybe you're washing your car, or even if you're using the NosillaCast to go to sleep. I want you to look around you and memorize what you're seeing right this minute. If you're blind, maybe there's a smell or the softness of the chair you're in that you could think about. Okay, everybody ready? Podfeed.com/Patreon. Roll those words around in your head and think, gosh, I'd really like to support the Podfeed podcast. You know, you're thinking Patreon, Podfeed.com/Patreon. You hear it? You see it? All right. Now, every time you feel the softness of your chair or you see the treadmill over which you're sweating or fold that favorite shirt, I want you to think of supporting the podcast through Patreon. This was a cheat. Dorothy already supports a podcast. Anyway, you got my idea? Let me know if this works, okay? I shouldn't have used Dorothy as an example. I realize she already supports the show.
And provides you a lot of moral support.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to change that because, yeah, so does Bart. Shoot, I shouldn't do stuff on the fly. He wanted to see if he could imprint that product on the audience's memory such that it was triggered every time they saw that same scene. Well, I'm purposely not telling you the name, whether you're driving. So anyway, I want to... Okay. I'm going to redo that. Almost a decade ago. So let's try that right here. Whether you're driving, you're at the gym, maybe you're doing laundry, maybe you're washing your car, or even if you're using the NosillaCast to go to sleep, I want you to look around you and memorize what you're seeing. If you're blind, maybe there's a smell or the softness of the chair you're in that you could think about. Everybody ready? Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you feel it? Podfeed.com/Patreon. Roll those words around in your head and think, gosh, I'd really like to support the Podfeed podcast by going to podfeed.com/Patreon. Now, every time you feel that softness of that chair, or you see the treadmill over which you're sweating, or fold that favorite shirt, I want you to think of supporting the podcast through Patreon. Let me know if this works, okay? All right. Now they've moved to Alaska drinking tequila and talking about Vegas. Nobody's listening to me.
Everyone listens to you.
Oh, now it's a pledge break. First it was an electrical dissertation, now it's a pledge break. Definitely. Hang on. Get my sandy towel out.
You might want to shake it out.
Okay. Now let's go back to talking about batteries.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Batteries, the second part.
This is going to be more fun. Oh, and then I will eventually need your prop, Steve.
Yes. At what point?
Not yet.
So I have to pay attention?
That'll be after this segment.
Ah.
There'll be another break. Don't worry, you don't have to pay attention.
All right.
I think you like the live audience even more than me because you get to play with them all the time. They better be nice.
Yes. All right, I'm
Yay, batteries, Kevin or Shy says. All right, let's see, where's the article? There we go. Okay, here we go. Well, I know the live chat room was really hoping that I'd get back to getting super nerdy about batteries, but it gets way easier from now. Now that we understand how to size a battery to charge our laptops, I'd like to tell you about the two I've been testing. The first is the Jackery Power Bar, and it has a capacity of 77 watt-hours. If you still care about milliamp hours, it's 20,800. And the second one is called the RAV Power Power Station, and it's got a terrible name, RPPB055. Anyway, we're going to call it the RAV Power. This one has a capacity of 99.5 watt-hours or 27,000 milliamp hours. 99.5. Okay, thanks, Tesla. Appreciate that. All right, I needed to get these out of the box to show you anyway. This is the Jackery Power Bar that I'm going to be talking about. And I'm going to be describing that, and I'm going to be describing this end. Let me get the second one out while we're talking. Why is this warm? That's a little weird. Oh, that's not warm on the inside. And this is the big boy. Actually, Steve, this says 99.9. Is it 99.9 or 99.5? My article says 99.9. Did Steve leave? He's not even there. I hear him downstairs. Or 27,000. This one has a capacity of 99. Okay. This one is. Oh, I'm so clumsy tonight. The RAV Power has a capacity of 99.5 watt hours, also known as 27,000 milliamp hours. Well, both batteries are designed to charge your smaller mobile devices via USB-A and USB-C, but also support the AC outlets for charging laptops. Both of these batteries have excellent specs, and I can highly recommend both of them, but they have different advantages and disadvantages. Both batteries cost $130 on Amazon, so I think this is a valuable comparison to look at the two of these together. These are not the only batteries out there for charging laptops, but they're the only two that I've tested personally. For brevity, I will be calling the batteries by their manufacturer's name only rather than their full product names. Let's start with the Jackery form factor. The Jackery was described by the Wirecutter as being the size of a pint glass. When it arrived, I photographed it next to a Ballast Point Black Marlin pint glass. They're right. It's just about the same size. The Jackery is 6¼ inches long with a rounded square cross-section of 2½ inches. It's a nice gunmetal gray. On one end, it has the AC outlet and a light to indicate whether the 110-volt power delivery is enabled, because you have to turn that on these batteries, on both of them actually. They made a design decision to put the power button on the opposite end to enable the AC port, which makes it a little clumsier than I would have liked to make sure you're delivering power. In general, I still depend on my Mac anyway to tell me with that happy little ding when it's being charged. On the other end, it has two USB-A ports. If you have a device that supports Quick Charge 3.0, one of the two USB-A ports will take care of you there, and the other will give you 5 volts at 2.4 amps, which I mentioned before is the requirement to charge a 12.9-inch iPad Pro or smaller. On the same end with the USB ports and the power switch, there's an LED which shows you the charge level of the battery. In my test, the battery level seemed to provide accurate information as I drained it. And this LED, by the way, this is actual numbers, so it shows 100 when it's fully charged. Now, the silk screening on the USB end of the Jackery could be improved. Even with the bright light, it's thin enough to be difficult to read. I relied on some photos I took under bright lighting conditions to be sure I could read the text. Luckily, on the AC outlet end, all of the specs are clearly printed. Another typo. I need a new editor. I realized in order to read. It's thin enough to be difficult to read. I relied on some photos I took under bright lighting to be sure if where'd it go? Could be even with a bright light, it's thin enough to be difficult to read. I relied on some photos I took under bright lighting conditions to be sure I could read the text. Luckily, on the AC outlet end, all this. Now I can't find it. Bring lighting conditions. That's what it says. Bring. It's supposed to be bright. Okay. Showing you where I am. Clearly printed. Okay. The Jackery charges with a USB-C wall adapter, which uses the input-output USB-C port I previously described. I tried charging it with my USB-C wall adapter from my MacBook Pro, and it did not charge the battery, which means you do have to keep track of Jackery's wall adapter. I like that it's very small and the cable was a reasonable length, which was nice, but I was curious why my big giant power adapter for my MacBook Pro didn't work. When I handed the Jackery to people at Macstock Expo, everyone said it wasn't as heavy as they expected. It's not light at 1.5 pounds, but since it has an internal fan for cooling when converting to AC power, it's much less dense than we are used to with traditional USB batteries. The RAV Power is similar in size to a thick paperback book. It's 5.5 by 7 by 1.25 inches thick. It has that lovely black sort of velvety coating that makes it feel nice in the hand. The corners are also rounded to make it feel a bit sleeker. But this 99.5 watt-hour battery weighs in at 1.87 pounds, so it's 25% heavier than the 77 watt-hour Jackery. If you have a larger laptop, you're going to need the RAV Power. But if you've got a smaller laptop and can get away with the Jackery, it might be a better choice based on weight alone. But But let's not make a call based on just that. I just wanted you to keep it in the back of your mind while you're choosing a battery. On one of the long sides, you'll see the AC port, a power switch, 2 iSmart USB output ports, along with a 3 amp USB-C output port. The iSmart ports both work at 5 volts, 2.4 amps. RAVPower's iSmart branding is described on their site as intelligently detects the charging needs connected devices and automatically delivers the output needed for complete efficiency. Grammar set aside, that's good stuff, but it's different from quick charge on the Jackery. Like the Jackery, the RAVPower also includes an internal fan which kicks in quickly when charging your laptop via AC. The RAVPower doesn't charge over USB. It has one of the old school power supplies with the power block partway along the power cable, and the cable pulls out so it's easy to store. It's probably the only thing I don't like about the RAVPower. The power supply is bigger and heavier than the Jackery USB-C charger block. However, the Jackery, though a smaller battery, takes 7 hours to charge through that USB-C charger. In contrast, the much larger capacity RAVPower takes 5.2 hours to charge. The reason the Jackery takes longer gets back to the things we learned in the lesson about electronics. And looking at the two power supplies, the Jackery USB-C charger says 100 to 240 volts at 0.45 amps, while the more traditional DC power supply for the RAVPower says 110 to 240 volts at 0.9 amps. Now we know volts times amps is watts of power, so both adapters are getting the same voltage from the wall port. The RAVPower charger supplies power at exactly twice the rate of the Jackery, 0.9 amps versus 0.45 amps. So, maybe I don't hate RAVPower's DC power supply quite as much as I did originally. Now, if charge speed is important to you, then the RAVPower charging 25% faster might be a factor in your decision. But if you plan on charging the battery overnight anyway, perhaps this isn't a critical decision point. I mentioned that the Jackery has an LED numerical readout on the charge level of the battery. The RAVPower has 8 LEDs to indicate charge level. In normal usage, having a precise value for the charge level isn't all that important, so the 8 LEDs is fine. However, in my testing, the number of LEDs that went down precipitously when I was using the battery long before the battery was actually running out. I'll get into the details of that when I get to the charging section of this article. I don't know if my LEDs are malfunctioning or whether this is normal behavior for the RAVPower. The RAVPower comes with a really nice hard shell case to carry the battery, the charger, and the 2 included micro USB cables. The battery and charger strap into place with a pocket for other accessories, but they also include a cushiony mesh bag made for carrying the battery alone in your bag. It's a nice touch, as I hate to see the lovely finish of this get marred banging around in my backpack. But you have to ask, how well do these batteries actually charge your laptop? In the post where we explored the math on how to determine if a battery could charge your laptop, I included that chart showing the predicted charge capability of the Jackery and RAVPower batteries versus the latest 2018 versions of the 12-inch MacBook, 13 and 15-inch MacBook Pros. Armed with this information, it was time to see whether the theory matched with real-life testing. Did something just go wrong?
I heard a little disconnect, but
I heard a disconnect and a ding.
Didn't hear the ding.
Where did that come from?
You're starting to lock up a little bit. Your video is frozen. Do you hear me now?
You didn't?
Yeah, your audio's messing up as well. All right, audience, how do we look here? Is Allison frozen for everyone?
Chuck? Yeah, but you're...
Okay, you're back. You were completely frozen for a while.
Yeah, that was really weird. It was like some message came in. You know what? I'm going to kill Telegram. I had that open in case you needed me. I am going to... I'm sending a screenshot to the Mimo Live guys really quick here.
Sausage overload.
Or when my video started to lag and hang. Okay. Okay. That was really weird. Just sounded really strange. Matched with real life testing. Armed with this information. Okay, we'll start with armed with this information. Okay, everybody says everything's good there. Hey, who let Mark in?
He snuck in. But he hasn't been...
Don't tell him how to listen in Discord.
He hasn't been listening to you, I believe. He's just been in the chat.
Well, he might have been on the video.
Well, I'm not sure.
I mean, he might have been on...
Not how I interpreted it.
Just happened. Okay. Well, that's probably the way everybody would like it. Okay. 13 and 15-inch MacBook Pros. Okay, muting Steve. My favorite thing about Mimo Live is that I can mute Steve. Oh, you started the barbecue, did you? Oh, it's 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
I'm nowhere near done.
Running late, Potfeet.
Yeah, I am. Okay, here we go. Armed with this information, it was time to see whether the theory matched with real-life testing. My MacBook Pro and Steve's are 2016 models, and they both have slightly smaller capacity batteries than the newer models. This is why I said to look for your exact battery capacity before deciding which battery is right for you. The Jackery Power Bar, as you may recall, is a 77 watt-hour battery. So if we remove the inefficiencies, calculated by multiplying 77 watt-hours by 72%, it should be able to deliver 55.4 watt-hours of charge. My 2016 15-inch MacBook Pro has a 77 watt-hour battery, so the Jackery should be able to charge it to 55 divided by 77, or coincidentally, 72%. I did a few tests while using the 15-inch MacBook Pro and charging at the same time. Remember, I said that shouldn't be able to charge it fully. And I did a few partial tests with the 15-inch asleep. And the Jackery just didn't have enough power, or capacity, I should say, to keep up with my 15-inch MacBook Pro. That's not a problem with the Jackery battery. It's just the wrong battery for my big girl MacBook Pro. Now, why does that say 2016 model? I have a sentence that makes no sense. It starts with 2016 model. Oh, there's a period in the... God, who wrote this?
Where is this?
Pro dot... it's... Sorry. No, this image is in the wrong place.
Oh, 2016 model with 4 Thunderbolt.
Yeah,
ports.
it just starts.
Well, I think it's a continuation. Aren't you describing your big girl MacBook Pro? You're just continuing on. Shouldn't it be with a comma? It should have been a comma, not a period.
No, that doesn't work either. I don't know what's going on. I just changed it.
It's
so
not a 2016 model?
What is going on? I just edited this and it didn't change it. It should be I have or something. 2016 model. Next. Okay. I have the... Okay, let's try that. Okay. Now, I have a feeling I'm going to be doing the rest of the show by myself pretty soon. If you guys need to go, I understand, but I'm not even close to done.
Well, you lost
All
somebody.
right. That's okay.
You have no wing woman.
I know she'll be back, and I still love her, even if she was bored. Okay, here we go. I have the 2016 model with 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports, and according to Apple's tech specs, it has a battery capacity of 4... Oh, it's supposed to say Steve has. What? Like a whole... Okay, I blame my editor. There's like a whole, 5 sentences missing.
It's hard to tell what you intended to say sometimes.
Well, it's all about your...
But it doesn't say MacBook Pro 13-inch.
No, it doesn't say anything about that. And that's... Okay. That's weird. Okay. Well, if it isn't good enough for my Mac, maybe we should take a look at Steve's MacBook Pro. It's a 13-inch MacBook Pro 2016 model with 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports, and according to Apple's tech specs, has a battery capacity of 49-ish watt hours. So if we've got a projected capacity of 55.4 divided by 49.2 says 113%. In other words, more than a full charge of his Mac, and have 13% left over on the Jackery. I drained Steve's 13-inch MacBook Pro until it completely died, which it turns out is around 5%, and then I charged it with the Jackery starting at 100% while not using it. In 92 minutes, the MacBook Pro went from 5% to 100%. And in that time, the Jackery was left with a whopping 11% left. This extra 11% allowed me to charge a completely dead iPhone 8 Plus up to 90% before the Jackery asked for mercy and shut itself down. So the predicted was 113%. We had 11% left on the battery after a full charge. That's astonishing in my book. Even though this is not the right battery for me, I think it's a fantastic choice for someone with a 13-inch MacBook Pro. Now, let's take a look at the tests on the RAV power with my big girl 15-inch MacBook Pro. According to Apple's knowledge base article, the 2016 15-inch MacBook Pro has a 76 watt-hour battery. I ran 2 tests on the RAV power, one charging the 15-inch MacBook Pro from near zero while I was using it, and one while the MacBook Pro was closed and asleep. The RAV power absolutely met its promise. With this 99.5 watt-hour battery at 72% efficiency, it should be able to deliver around 72 watt-hours of charge. With my 76 watt-hour MacBook Pro, I should have been able to charge it to around a 95%. But the RAV power outperformed my expectations. With the Mac asleep while charging, it went from 5% to 100% in 114 minutes. Again, remember the efficiency numbers are rough estimates and could easily vary between the Jackery and the RAV power. I also tested charging my 15-inch MacBook Pro while charging from the RAV power, which is probably how I would intend to use it while I was actually using it. I've been stuck on a plane with a dead Mac because plane outlets don't deliver enough power for the 15-inch MacBook Pro, and I'm often in conferences where my Mac runs out and I want to keep using it. In my test, the 15-inch MacBook Pro, while in use, charged from 2% up to 72% in 56 minutes before the RAV power was out of juice. I think that's really impressive considering I had my screen at full brightness with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth both enabled. Knowing I can get a 3/4 charge in less than an hour from fully dead while using my Mac, that's amazing. I recorded a few data points along the way with the help of my awesome housekeeper, Rocio, who checked in on my laptop while it was charging, because the only time I can leave my laptop alone is when I'm not there. I've included both sets of charging data on podfeet.com in the review, Mac Asleep and Awake, on the same graph. I did that because I discovered something really interesting. The rate of charge, the percentage gained on the Mac per minute, was nearly identical whether I was using the Mac or not. That meant that the RAV power actually stepped up the rate it was delivering to compensate for the fact that the Mac was draining faster by being used at the same time. I thought that was pretty interesting. Now, one more thing. I did check the TSA lithium-ion carry-on battery maximum size, and it turns out it's 100 watt-hours. So the RAV power at 99.5 watt-hours is obviously sized to just be legal for carry-on luggage. Now, I don't want to close out this review without talking about customer service. I only asked RAV power one question, and Kay came back with the answer. I asked Jackery, though, a ton of questions, and my new little friend Ian and I became pals along the way as a result. Much of the information in my article about figuring out what battery you need actually came from Ian at Jackery. He's the one who explained that the power conversion loses 20% and converting from the Mac's power adapter loses the second 10%. He's the one who helped me with the initial understanding that you can't charge a MacBook Pro through the USB-C port. That discussion helped inform Steve and my path to the full understanding of why. Ian was awesome. He offered to let me return the Jackery power bar because it wasn't right for my use, but I decided their support was so awesome that I would give it away to our friend Pat Dengler, who has the 13-inch MacBook Pro. Steve did get full first rights of refusal, Kevin. Don't worry, but he didn't want it, so Pat's going to be able to take it. Like I said, RavPower answered the only question I asked, so this is not any kind of criticism against them, just that Jackery was really put to the test. I did read in the RavPower comments on Amazon that a few people had units that did not work properly at first, and they changed the reviews from 1 star to 4 or 5 stars because RavPower saw their comment, got them new units quickly, and the replacements performed as expected. So RavPower gets good marks in customer service as well. All right, let's bottom line it. If you've got a 13-inch MacBook Pro or smaller, and you can wait 7 hours for a full recharge of your external battery, the Lightery Jackery Power Bar is probably the one for you to get. If you've got a bigger Mac or want to be able to charge many things many times, say while camping, the RavPower will meet those needs. I'm just happy that these solutions finally exist from 2 companies who are taking good care of their customers. If you've done rigorous real-world testing on batteries for laptops with AC charging from other manufacturers, I'd sure like to hear your results too. Steve, I am sure you're the one who edited that section and why it got messed up, because that's where I called it a little boy battery. Remember?
Did I remove that?
I think you did. I think you pulled a whole section out.
I didn't intentionally do that. Sorry.
You know, WordPress has history.
Version control, yeah.
Yes, it does.
We can check.
All right. I don't think I promised to talk about the Mac Alley, did I? Because I'm tired. It's 43 minutes. I'm saving that for next week.
I think you should.
But let's show it to the live audience.
Yes. Oh, hold
You
on.
want to show it to them? So this is the last thing I was going to talk about was the Mac Alley MacBook Pro charger. Oh, poor Steve. You're not in camera yet.
This thing is so heavy, I can barely lift it.
Down, right there. Oh. Look at this thing. Doesn't it look like a little G5 iMac? I mean, G5 Mac? I think it looks really cute. But this is not a battery. This is a charger. And the cool thing about it is it's got a MagSafe connector on it. Not MagSafe, but a magnetic connector on the USB-C cable. I think it's really cute. See? Let's see. Here we go. See? Isn't that exciting? It's kind of blown out. But anyway, so that's the thing I'm not going to talk about today. We will save that for next week. All right.
All right, so people are talking about when various things are available and when the announcement might be. So we're guessing September.
Of what? Of what?
Everything.
What are you talking about?
iPhones, new
oh,
iPads.
They're not. So not talking about the show.
No, were we supposed
I'm in
to?
the middle of producing a show right now, sweetie pie.
But there's a whole new chat room going on here. Yes, that was a real cheese grater. Kaylee joined us, if you didn't know that.
Oh, Kaylee. Yeah, doesn't it look like the cheese grater? Man.
Apple fall announcement, right. So
I thought it was September.
Normally it is. Have they had one as late as October?
The watch has come out on September every year that it's come out. I checked that one because Lindsay wants one for her birthday, and her birthday was a couple days ago.
That's right.
You did discuss the battery. You could club somebody with this. Wait, there's a show, Kaylee says. Oh, man. You're a miscreant like the rest of them. Fine. All right. Put that away. This is what you missed was the other the batteries. Look at this one. So it's like the size of my face, I think.
Yeah.
How's that?
Pretty good.
Did you like when I went like this while I was talking about it? And a little bit of Vanna White.
You really like that battery.
I do. All right. Be quiet. I'm going to record.
All right.
All right. Did I see at the front end? No. I'm going to have to change the review a little bit because I changed that. But All right. Well, the live chat room says that their brains hurt from all the math I made them do. So we're going to wind it up for this week. Do not forget to send in your dumb questions, comments, and suggestions. You can email me at allison@podfeed.com. Maybe you understand that USB-C current voltage thing and you can explain it to us. You can also follow me on Twitter @podfeed. Remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. What was that comfy chair you were sitting in, that bicycle ride you were on? Where were you when you heard me say podfeed.com/Patreon? You can join our Facebook group, podfeed.com/Facebook, or a Google Plus group over at podfeed.com/Google Plus. Want to join the chat on Discord? Podfeed.com/chat. If you want to use the Amazon affiliate links, what do you think it is? It's podfeed.com/Amazon. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Podfeed.com/wingman.
John nailed it. That's the cheese grater Mac Mini.
Perfect. I love it. All right. NC outro. I'm tired.
Shy acknowledges your effort here.
Shy appreciates me.
Yeah, he does. Maybe because you played his...
Actually, that's what I should do. While I'm doing the final editing, let's play that again.
Play it again, Sam.
Oh, yeah, Kaylee didn't get to listen to it. We could listen to more of it.
This is the outro now. If we're going to get taken down, we might as well get taken down. We don't hear it, by the way. Are you playing? Are you playing? Because we don't hear you. Repipe. No audio? Where's your audio? We lost you. Sausage this late in the show. We still don't hear it. Nothing. We lost you. We don't hear Shy, Allison. Now we.
Oh, you're saying you don't hear Shy?
No.
Oh, why not?
I don't know. Whatever you did, we didn't hear anything. You just cut us all out.
Oh. I wondered why you were talking over it. It was like, I can't hear you. I'm listening to Shy.
I couldn't hear anything.
Okay, let me see. Okay, I'm going to hear it for the 18th time. Okay. Apparently I had to turn the block off and on again.
There you go.
Hark, Lahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain, and the waving wheat can sure smell sweet when the wind comes right behind the rain. Hark, Lahoma, every night my honey lamb and I sit alone and talk and watch our hawk making lazy circles in the sky. We know we belong to the land, and the land we belong to is grand. And when we say, yo, aye-yi-bi-yo-wee, hey, we're only saying you're doing fine, Oklahoma, Oklahoma, okay.
When the wind comes right behind the rain. Every night we sit alone and talk and watch our hawk making lazy circles in the sky. We know we belong to the land, and the land we belong to is grand. Yippee-yi, 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 yippee-yi. And when we say
we know we belong to the land, and the land we belong to is grand. And when we say, yo, aye-yi-bi-yo-wee, hey, we're only saying you're doing fine, Oklahoma, Oklahoma, O-K-L-A-H-O-M-A, Oklahoma.
Okay.
That is fun.
Love that. So anybody who hasn't heard this story, Shy was in our house one time. Hasn't stopped by in a long time, but anyway, we were talking, and I think it was during the live show, but I didn't record it at the time. I told him my favorite song was Oklahoma from a musical, and so he sang it for me. And the first thing he did, and I'll never forget this, is he's at the mic and he goes like this. And he did that because his voice is so big. That's how far away he had to get.
Yeah,
and it was just, it blew me away.
I think he's used to singing in large venues, not in a small
Yeah,
little
you
studio.
John wants to know what the name of the musical was.
and Kaylee wants to know how you spell that again. That was a fun day, yes.
I think I am actually done recording. I have exported. I need to do some audio testing here because I was fooling around doing it. I think we should call the show at 6:20.
We definitely should. Whew.
That was a lot of work. I can only spell it while backed up by 50 ensemble members. Did you have a Surrey with your fringe on cap in the top in the cabin as well? That's good. All right. By the way, I keep that on my desktop. I keep an incredibly clean desktop. I have 2 folders and 4 files, and 2 of the 4 files are Shy. One is the song, and one is the video. Maybe I'll put that and keep it so I can always get to it. All right, guys, I'm calling it.
All right.
Say goodnight, Steve.
Good night, Gracie.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, I have to end the recording.
Yeah, you do.
Cutting off now.